Hey everyone, thanks for joining me. Today we're going to look at systems of equations using the elimination method. So, normally for substitution we would look for a lonely letter. Well, elimination, a little bit different, a little bit similar. When we use elimination, we kind of want to line up our variables. So like our x's are together, our y's are together, our constants are together. And we want to try to eliminate one of the variables. Basically, we're eliminating it by creating this big addition problem. Like if I added x and negative x together, they eliminate. If I add y and negative 2y together, I get negative y or negative 1y. And negative 2 and 4, when I add them together, I get 2. I would then solve for y. And after I got one of my variables solved for, I got y, I would then substitute it into one of the equations just like the substitution method. So the remainder of this problem would be the same as substitution, but the elimination part gets rid of one of the letters. So let's just take a look at one more down below. Number one, here's an elimination, right? So we have our x's, we have our y's, we have our constants. We want to try to eliminate something. To me, I'm seeing the 8 and the 16 here kind of have something in common. Like if I multiply this entire top equation by 2, that would get me a positive 16x right here. 2 times 8, positive 16. That would get me a negative 12y and a negative 40. My x's could now cancel. When I clean up my y's, I have negative 5y and negative 10 left over. This process is the elimination process. Multiply one of the equations by a number that allows you to eliminate one of your variables. From here, we would solve for y. Y equals 2. And then we would take the 2, plug it into one of the original problems, and solve for x. Let's take a look at question number 2. You have a couple different options here. Option number 1 would be if I multiplied the bottom by 6. This would get me a negative 6x, and my x's would cancel. All right, that's one option. That would totally work. Option 2 could be I have a negative 12y. If I multiply this by a positive 2, this would get me a negative 12y, but that doesn't cancel. I need my signs to be opposite. So if I multiply this by a negative 2, I would get a positive 2x, positive 12y, and a negative 8. But that would allow me to cancel my y's, right? Then my y's would be eliminated, and I would get 8x equals 16, and I would go ahead and solve. So the whole key with elimination is you need to multiply one or sometimes both of your equations by a number that will allow you to eliminate one of the variables. Last example here, okay? Now for question 3, many of us are going to see a little combination in here. You might see if you multiply this by 2, you get 10y. Great. But what happens if you don't see it? Right? We show you these tricks, you just don't see it. Well, when in doubt, if you're lost or if you're confused, you could take the first number here and bring it up, and you could take the first number there and bring it down. The issue, or the only thing you gotta watch out for is we need one of our x's to be positive and one of our x's to be negative. So if I multiply this, I get negative 48x, but I can't multiply by a negative 8, multiply by a positive 8, and I get positive 48x, and then we can cancel. So when in doubt, you could take the bottom number and bring it up, the top number and bring it down. You just have to change the signs of one of them. All right, hope this helps.